Well, and the problem is, like, for example, my daughter, this reason I got into the program is my daughter had two autoimmune disorders, and they told us there's no cure for it. We don't know what causes it. And again, from my spiritual background, I'm like, no, God didn't create it that way. God has an answer. You got to find the answer. He just hasn't given the answer yet. And so I started going back and doing research and trying to figure it out. And I figured out, yeah, we can absolutely heal this. It's not something she has to live with for the rest of her life. And so after developing the program and taking her through it, she has none of those autoimmune disorders. They're both gone. And that's what I talk about. God designed us to heal. Why wasn't she healing? Because of the trauma she'd experienced that we didn't know about. So she had never disclosed to us this trauma she had between the ages of 6 and 8. And that's when
Yeah.
I started connecting all the dots. That showed up as physical inflammation. And then once we resolved the trauma, the inflammation went down, her immune system kicked back up, and it healed everything.
I agree. So in the book, I get into Heisenberg's uncertainty principle in simple terms, and it says how everything at energy level is waiting to be guided to a physical experience. And so Heisenberg has his uncertainty principle. If I had Randy's principle, it would be that I can say with 100% certainty, any irritation, physical, emotional, mental, otherwise, goes back to trauma. It all goes back to trauma.
All
And
back to trauma. I 100% agree with that. It's all coming. And that's why I said 20% could be physical. It's just sort of a genetic defect or something that happened in that creation. But I believe 80% is coming from physical or coming from psychological, not physical.
yeah, and I believe that that 20% that's physical is either the result of trauma that's manifested in our body, or it's a lesson our soul has asked for so that we can have a deeper experience and have more challenge. We're here to have challenge. We're not here to have just a necessarily perfect, wonderful life. And if you have had that and it's great, then that's fantastic. You're fortunate. But most souls choose, when they look at the pamphlet, they open the pamphlet up and they say, okay, what am I going to choose for this lifetime? Oh, rejection, jealousy, physical ailments, whatever it might be. We choose these challenges because it's fun to overcome the challenges. Now, it's not always fun from a human perspective, but our soul enjoys these experiences. And when we can learn to see all the challenges as gifts, then our humanness learns to enjoy the challenges as well.
And like we said, I think that's what sort of guided me was that my spiritual belief that my daughter didn't have to suffer that way if I could figure out what was causing it. But they told us there's no cure for Crohn's. We don't even know what causes Crohn's. She's going to have to manage this for the rest of her life. And they cut out 24 inches of her intestines during 4 different operations. And when I started to look at it and I started connecting up the trauma, as I said, why aren't they fixing it? Why are they managing it? Because everything about
Because
current, trauma is you need to learn how to manage, live, and cope with it.
so what, aside from 35 years ago, aside from being attracted to Maria, who is a beautiful person, and I enjoyed the 3 years I spent with her, we spent together, I saw the world from the position of a physicist. And in science, it all comes down to energy. And she saw the world from a spiritual perspective, all from a perspective of energy. So when she started talking about the energy of relationships and the energy of interactions and the energy of how things change, then me as a scientist, I was sucked right in. And, okay, I'm interested. But
Right.
but most doctors don't deal with energy. They deal with what's at a higher level, where even if it's chemistry, they don't deal with it at an energy level. They don't see that everything we're experiencing here is energetic. It's all illusion. It's all just a matrix. It's all an illusion that our soul has agreed to and we experience as being solid, but it changes every moment from millisecond, microsecond to microsecond at the smallest nano particle of, slice of time, the smallest nano slice of time. We're changing, and our body can change and we can heal and we can find ways to use the energy of our experience to create a better life. And that's what you did for your daughter. And doctors don't want to talk about energy because they can't quantify it and they can't control it.
Yeah, measure it. But you
Can't
can
measure it.
measure it, but you can measure it in a lot
We
of other
can,
different ways. It's a frequency. So the system communicates through frequencies.
but we also can't sell it. We can't charge for it and we can't sell it.
No. And then a lot of things, the current medical system is if you want to become a doctor, you go into a silo. So the silo that you're in is you may be an ear, nose, and throat specialist. You get no training in anything else. All your training is focused in that specialty. So you get some general knowledge to start, and then you have to pick a specialty, and then
Right.
you become an expert in that. But what happens is, if you're an ear, nose, and throat person and somebody comes in with a gut issue, you have no idea. You're
Well,
experiencing the different.
and at the same time, if I have an allergy issue, it very well may be a gut issue. And if I address my gut, then my ear, nose, and throat problems go away. And they're not taught that.
No.
There's not enough time and bandwidth, and the system doesn't allow for it. And it takes a lot of understanding. And there are practitioners who understand it from that point of view. There are some, but we're moving in that direction. More and more people are saying, okay, this is a bigger experience than my mind and my body. And there are energies that are bigger than my mental and physical experience, and I want to learn about them. And when we do, and more of us do that, then it opens up the opportunity for a more holistic approach to everything in life.
And I think that's the future, but it's going to take a while to get to that because it flies in the face of the current model, which is basically to just treat their issues and not fix their issues. And I'm not blaming the medical community, because I think a lot of them are in that because they do want to heal people. But if you go out and you're a doctor and you've got your license through the AMA, and then you turn around and say, I think they're wrong about this, right? You won't have a license for very long.
Right. Now, the system fights it. And also, we've become really good with regards to modern medicine and dealing with the symptoms. So amazingly good. So we had the physical industrial revolution 100 years ago, 120 years ago, and that being the physical element of being our human experience. And then over the last 20, 30 years, we've had the intellectual information revolution. And now we have computers and we understand logic and reason so much better, and AI and such that's evolving. But that revolution has happened or is happening. It's very solid. We can talk about it. But the next and the final revolution is really the emotional revolution, understanding and being able to work through the emotional part of being human. It's not about controlling our emotions. It's about guiding and being fluid in our emotions and being able to have a deeper human, positive emotional experience. And that involves dealing with healing and trauma. And that's why I think it's such a prominent subject right now. Is it's time for the planet to have the emotional revolution and be able to let go of the baggage, heal our way through it, and just have more wonderful positive emotional experiences.
I think we're on the cutting edge of the revolution that's coming, and what you're doing to help people is amazing. What we're doing, the same kind of thing. I think that's the future, and I think that's where we're going to go.
And it has to happen through people like yourself who understand the mind and the process the mind has to go through to guide us to that place of healing. And so the work that you're doing is 100% spot on. We have to think our way towards healing. We can't think our way necessarily, in my personal opinion, through the healing, but our mind has to be involved and our mind has to guide us. Better performance, whether it's our physical body or our physical performance, has to come through the work that people like yourself are doing.